We are live. We are live with a special conversation with Mr. Clark, siblings of the movement. Thank you all for tuning in on Instagram. Thank you all for tuning in on Facebook. Thank you all for tuning in on YouTube. I'm live right now with the brother of Daunte Wright, and we are live. Dominic, introduce yourself to the people. Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
A little
brother?
bit. You're kind of breaking up, Brother Clark. Just a little bit. You're breaking up.
Okay. Can you introduce yourself to the people real quick? Introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. My name is Damick Bryant. I am the oldest brother of Dante Wright, who was murdered by the Brooklyn Center Police Department on 4/11/21 of this year. So yeah.
And can you tell the people your brother's situation, how your brother was killed, if people are not familiar with the story of your brother?
Oh yes, for sure. So my brother was pulled over during a traffic stop in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Basically, he was pulled over because he had air fresheners hanging in the window, and also the tabs were expired. And the cops pulled him over and asked for everything, and basically they ended up trying to pull him out of the car. And my brother tried to get back into the car, and you know, Kim Potter pulled out her gun instead of her taser and murdered my brother for a minor traffic stop.
How old was your brother?
He was 20 years old.
And how close were you and your brother?
Uh, we were real close. My actually Dallas, my younger brother, his older brother, they were more close because they lived together and stuff like that. But I see my brother every day, so you know what I mean. Like we were
Yes.
together almost every single day and everything like that. So like we was locked in, close.
Tapped in, okay. And I want to ask you, like, what's it been like since you lost your brother? What's every day been like since you? I can imagine that not a day go by you don't hear your brother's name in some aspect, way, shape, or form every single day. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So right now it's still fresh. You know what I mean? It's still taking a lot of use to get to. You know what I mean? It's still, it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem right at all. It's like you wake up, I don't see him active on Facebook no more. I don't hear him calling my phone saying, "Come on, bro, let's go hang out," or nothing like that. It's to the point where like, my mom to cook every Sunday. My mom used to, what I mean, cook a lot. Sunday dinner, family dinner, and it's like when we go over there, it's just like it's a missing piece to a puzzle. So, we're all still lost. We try to make it, not to be sad all the time. But, it's hard when you go to my mom's house now and you see my brother's urn sitting on top of the TV stand, and it's hard not to break down because it's like he's not here no more to be that joy of the family. So it's like it's tough. So we got a lot of, it's not like we argue and stuff like that, but it's more of like everybody, some people are, don't cry like that, and some people do. So it puts everybody inside of a, like I wouldn't say like a panic, but like a depression mode, because we lost a very special piece to our family, and especially my mom's and dad's youngest son, their baby boy. So
It's a process. Everybody's grieving differently.
yes,
Everybody's
sir.
everybody's grieving their own way. And I remember when I lost my brother, the way I was grieving, it turned a lot of people off. A lot of them didn't understand me. They said I was crazy. A lot of family as well, because maybe the way I was grieving was different from the way they could understand. You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
And so I want to follow up with that and add to that. Have you been able to get help in your grieving? Have you been taking any kind of counseling or therapy? Have you been taking any self care, any vacation, any days for you? How have you been getting any time for you?
Basically, I'm not gonna lie. My girlfriend is basically like my biggest, like, my mom and my dad. I don't. I'm the oldest boy, so I don't feel comfortable going and grieving to my mom and my dad. So like, my girlfriend plays a big part in the process for me, and the people I hang out around like my best friends is, they're real big supportive. But like what my grieving process is that I like to, go sit at my brother's memorial and just sit out there all day and be with him, and then it's like the moment I leave, it just comes to that point where, you just break down. But, I could only cry so much before the tears start not coming down no more. It hurts to cry now. So, I mean, everybody's grieving process is different. But I tend to basically just like to be with my brother and stuff like that. But I haven't took no counseling and no therapy, no vacations yet. But it's coming up very soon.
Yeah. So you're one of those people so you're open for counseling and therapy.
For sure.
And and the process is, I always say slow process is better than no slow progress is better than no progress. Your brother
Yes, sir.
situation is one of the most recent situations in this fight for accountability and justice on all levels. And I think one of the reason it was your brother's situation was so big was because it was shortly after the George Floyd, I think was verdict or something was close by in that
Yep.
aspect. And and it was, the question is, how can cops be so careless knowing that this cop is on trial for killing George Floyd already, and then more cops plan on going on trial in the near future? When you see Kim Potter's trial date be pushed back, I mean pushed up to November instead of December 30th, does that make you feel any type of way about anything?
Um, me personally, I feel like the trial date. No, the prosecutors and our attorneys. We got some of the best attorneys. You know what I mean? They're gonna do their job and do what's right. My biggest fear is that no matter what the process is with the trial, if it was in 2 weeks or if it was in 6 months, I automatically feel like it's going to be the same exact thing. So like the trial date for me is different than the trial date for my family. I don't know what they want really, but I do know what they want. But I would rather have them say that. But for me, I just feel like it's going to be the same thing. Like they already got their mind made up on what's going to happen to Kim Potter, and she is a white woman at the end of the day. So I don't feel like they're going to hold her to the fullest extent. I pray to God that they, you know what I mean, do do what they're supposed to do and do take the right procedures with Kim Potter. But at the end of the day, it would never be no justice. You know what I mean? There will be no justice because Daunte Wright is not here.
That part, and I totally agree with that because I feel the same way when it comes to my brother Stefan Alonzo Clark. So I understand that, even if it comes to accountability, it's still not there because we would rather have our loved ones with us here today.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so when it comes to actionable items, I know there are still protests out there. Can you want to talk about a little bit about the protests? What does it look like there on the ground?
It's been 100% honest. We've been like, well, you know, me personally, I just don't like to show fake support and I don't like to show fake love. And it's not only about Dante. So I just feel like, with the protesters here, they're really good. They're really, you know what I mean? They stand behind the cause of Black Lives Matter. But there's been so much going on with so many different people that it's everything's so confusing now. So it's like, regardless of what happens, I still do protest in front of the police station. I'll still go to Kim Potter's house, you know what I mean, and do stuff here. But then I'm also the type of person that will go to Philando Castile and go to all these other families and show more support in them. But like, it hasn't been what it was. I'll tell you that much. It's starting to die down. Um, with everybody's situation, and it's, I don't know, I'm only one person, I could only do so much. But with the protesters out here, they like to pick and choose where they go. So it's so hard when you have 1,000 protesters going to 7 different locations, and instead of, you know what I mean, being everybody at one spot and then the next day going to another spot, then the next day going to another spot, it'll work better like that, instead of having 3 people here and then 6 people there. So, it's a little bit confusing. I'm still new to this, you know what I mean? And so it's a little more difficult to like put something together, you know?
Oh, trust me, I know. I definitely know. But at least you're out there. At least you're out there fighting, brother. At least you're out there on the front lines. And I like how you said standing with the families like Philando Castile and so many others. You're part of a family that nobody wants to be a part of. You're part of a club nobody asks to be a part of. And yet you're here and you're still fighting for a better tomorrow. Um, when it comes to the other families, have there been any other families that you've been connected with that have been standing with you in solidarity that you want to just shout out right now?
Yes. So I met the family of Emmett Till,
Come on now.
uh, Justin Tigan, Kobe Heisler, um, Philando Castile. I love his mom to death. She's one of the most beautifulest people in the world. And many more. I met the family of Xavier Hill about 3 weeks ago for the first time. I talked to, I've been trying to get in contact with her still through Facebook. And there's a lot of more families. I'm still new to this, and still I got a bad memory, but there's so many other more families that I met and still show love and support to.
So will you be attending the march from voting rights in DC? August
Yes,
20.
it's August 28th, right?
Yes, yes, you'll be there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I look forward to seeing you there, brother.
Yes,
Yes,
sir. I'm going.
indeed. And when we first met, I had flown down there for the George Floyd trial originally,
Yes. Yep.
and then your situation happened with your brother, and me and your family share the same attorney, and I called to meet with my attorney and wind up meeting and connecting. And when I first met you, everything was fresh, you could say, right? And Kim
Yeah.
Potter,
Oh, yes, sir.
yeah, and Kim Potter, you remember that you guys were in that room and Kim Potter had appeared on the court date via Zoom. Do you remember that? What were your
Yes, I do.
what were your feelings like? Can you describe your feelings that moment in that room at that time? And can you describe
Oh,
just the
yeah, for sure.
that?
For sure. Like, my first time seeing Kim Potter on that camera, she, as any adult that makes a mistake or supposedly makes an accident, she, I mean, even though she has no right because her attorney is talking for her, but, she smiles and she waves, you know what I mean? Instead of saying, like, you know what, to the family or to the Wright family, I apologize for what happened. We still haven't got no apology from her. You know what I mean? We could care less for an apology, but like for somebody that commits, an accident, you know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. And the fact that she could sit there on the camera and when the judge asks if she was present and she waves and she smiles, it's not time to smile. It's not time to wave, you know what I mean? And then you sit in the background of the camera. It just don't make sense. Like for somebody that, has been on the air for or on the force for 26 years, you don't make accidents. You know what I mean? Accidents do happen, but that's not an accident.
Mm, I agree. If you're a cop, you should know the difference between a taser and a gun, just like you should know the difference between a cell phone and a gun. And that's why we're calling for accountability on not some levels, but all levels. I appreciate you for having this short, quick conversation with me. I appreciate your time. We'll be doing this again next Tuesday and every Tuesday, of course. We'll be joined in with
Yes,
more
sir.
things. I couldn't do this without you. For a matter of fact, the reason I started doing this and picking this up is because you gave me that call and said, "Hey, when are we finishing our conversation? When are we going to finish that?" And thank you for being your brother's keeper, because if it wasn't for you, I would not have contacted the sister of Botham John. I would have not contacted the son of Eric Garner. I wouldn't have contacted all these people. So for you and your leadership and your will to stand up for your brother to commemorate his life and legacy in a positive light for generations after you and I have left this earth. It's going to connect more families than me and you could ever even thought of. So I appreciate you for doing that, because even though we're not ready to to forgive anybody yet right now, we are ready to prevent what happened to our loved ones to anybody else. What we would hate to see is Stefan Clark or Daunte Wright for another family, to have for them to have another attorney or reverend or press conference to go through any of the process what we went through. So I think if we could prevent that, like having our stories and having our dialogues, I think that could be very restorative when it comes to social justice. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So with that being said, I feel, you know what I mean, as if, we come together as one at the end of the day. You know what
Come
I
on,
mean? And
big
it's the wrong like you said, it's the wrong family to be in, but it's also the right family to be in. You know
come
what I
on.
mean? And like I tell my mom at the end of the day, everything is not right. So from now on, when I spell right, I'm gonna spell it like my brother's last name. So I feel
Speak on
personally inside of
that.
my,
Yeah, I like
and from now on, it's WRIGHT, not RIGHT. You get what I'm saying? And for me, I feel like, you know what I mean? People is power at the end of the day. And with power, you can do anything. We support the families. We stand behind the families 100%. So with that being said, like, what we can do, we can make a change in the world just from having families like us do this type of stuff once or twice a week, and then have like a reunion where we bring all the families together and it's just the families instead of the other outside people, because these families, we lost somebody. We know how it feels to lose somebody, but these protesters and these vigilizers and stuff like that, they don't understand the pain that we go through, and they don't understand how it feels to lose somebody to police through a murder or supposable accidents, or you know what I mean, a George Floyd situation, Eric Gardner situation, you know what I mean, an Emmett Till situation, a Justin Tigan situation, a Copley Heisler situation. And no matter what we're gonna do, it's still not gonna cause police, you know what I mean, to make the right decision. It's going to keep happening, and it's going to keep happening. But at the end of the day, if we make a step for our kids to make that step, for their kids to make that step, there will be change sooner or later. But it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes a lot of work to be put in to stop this type of stuff. So if we all come together as like families, it'll work a lot better.
I agree. Solidarity without organization is useless. I agree. And like I've said, slow progress is better. We have to come together as one. We have to be a unit. We have to see when I see these police, they have what I call a uniform. They have a code of conduct. They have a language. They have their gun, their walkie-talkie, their badge. They have when I say uniform, I'm not just talking about clothing. And what we as a people in the movement need to discover what our uniform looks like, what our uniform is. I think once we discover and figure out what our uniform look like, our code of conduct, our language, what our what we look like as a people, then we could carry on this fight on not some levels, but all levels. But also, I want to add, um, as you get in this fight, as you're part of this movement now, you said something to me. You said the right. You said I don't even spell right no more the way they spell it. I spell it with a W. I spell like Dante's last name. That's what you said. And that
Yeah,
was so powerful, because what you're saying is you don't do it for your first name, you do it for his last name. You do it for the legacy. And I love that so much. You have no idea how much I love that. But when you say that, I think it's so powerful because it humanizes Daunte. You see what I'm saying? It
for
says
sure.
that he's just not somebody who was killed because Potter didn't know the difference between a taser and a gun, allegedly. But Daunte was also a musician, wasn't he? Didn't he make music?
Yes, sir.
You want to speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, Dante was just, he does anything that he feels like he can do 100%. So, Dante liked making music. You know what I mean? Dante was your average, 20-year-old at the end of the day. So like with that being said, he does everything that he wants to do. You know what I mean? From playing sports to, you know what I mean, to being the 4th of July. He was always wanted to light fireworks. He basically was a kid still. You know what I mean? He was still a child. He didn't even get to see 21. He didn't get to experience a bar. He didn't, you know what I mean? He didn't get to experience a vacation out of town other than, you know what I mean, going to North Carolina for a graduation. He didn't get to experience a lot in life. And it messes the family up now because we had so many plans and so much stuff that we wanted to do that we don't even feel comfortable doing no more because he's not around. And he was a phenomenal basketball player, football, you know what I mean, played baseball when he was younger. He was a big game head, loved 2K, so it's just, he had a lot of life to live, and a lot of his life was cut short because of, somebody's mistake, and it wasn't a mistake, but so.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, brother. I hear you. I hear you. And there's love on this side from the Clark family. Just know we love you on this side all the way from California. We love you. We love your mama. I love your stepdad. Everybody in the family. I love you guys all. And my heart is with the sisters. My heart is with you, brother. My heart is with the families out there. It just sucks that we have to be having these conversations under these circumstances. You
Yeah,
know,
for sure. And it sucks also to the point because it doesn't make sense because they say that they target the police target African Americans or black people and stuff like that. But then it's so sad because my brother wasn't even 100% African American. He wasn't 100%. My brother had also white in his skin. So he's barely, the police are even taking it to the point where he barely has melanin in his skin and they still do the same exact thing. You know
and
what I
you
mean?
yeah, yeah, and you were attacked shortly after by the police after your brother. Weren't you attacked by the police after your brother's situation?
Yeah,
Can you talk
so
about this a little bit?
yeah, so basically what happened was is I've been targeted twice since my brother has passed away. I was actually attending one of the protests and they didn't have a curfew set in place. And as me and my girlfriend were pulling off from the police station and we were in her car, the sheriffs all surrounded her car and were beating on her car with the wooden handles, telling us to get out the car and stuff like that. And we're like, for what? For what? We're not here. You know what I mean? Throwing nothing at the police. We literally just sitting in the car and it was helping me cope at the time. You know what I mean? And when they pulled us out the car, they pulled my girlfriend out the car. You know what I mean? Very disrespectfully. She had a dress on. They laid her on the ground. When they pulled me out the car, they pulled me out the car. They put their knee on my back and inside of a puddle of water, and I'm telling them, and I'm scared as hell. You guys, you know what I mean? I'm telling them like I am the older brother of Daunte Wright. Why are you guys doing this to me? I'm not here being disrespectful. Oh, we don't care. That's not your brother. You're white. He's black. You know what I mean? They took that type of straw, and then after they pulled us out of the car, they basically they caused damage to my girlfriend's car, which we still haven't, you know what I mean? We didn't I don't want to, you know what I mean, make it a bigger situation. I'm gonna pay to get it taken care of. And stuff like that. But they were really disrespectful. They zip tied me, my hands so tight. They separated me and her. And I'm telling them basically like I don't feel comfortable being by myself with 5 officers escorting me to the police station where Kim Potter worked at. And they ended up bringing me down to the jail. They didn't even book or release me. They bring me down to the jail and told me to get out the car and find my way back. And that was the first time. And then the second time, there was no curfew in effect at all. I was sitting in my vehicle by myself. There was no protesters outside. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm just sitting there looking at my brother's name on the fence. And then there's 3 officers that pulled behind me, 3 Brooklyn Center police officers that did pull behind me. And when they pulled behind me, they basically came to the car and they just handed me 2 tickets. And I'm like, what is these tickets for? What am I? You're not supposed to be parked here. between the hours of 2 and 6. And I'm like, well, there's cars parked here, and you guys come into the car where you guys sat behind my car for 2 minutes and didn't even get out the car. And then you guys addressed me 2 minutes later. So, and then they were like, well, we're not going to argue with you. You're not supposed to be out here. But by law, I have a right to be sitting outside in my vehicle. I'm not, yes, I am parked. And then they ended up just throwing the tickets at me. It didn't even have my name on it. It didn't even have the car license plate, nothing. They were just messing with me. And the next day, I went to the police station again, and I ended up seeing the officers that were behind the fence walking around with their guns and their, you know, less than non-lethals. And I asked the guy, I said, "Hey, I just want to ask you a question. You know I'm the brother of Daunte, right?" "Yeah, I know that," he said. And I said, "So why did you guys give me a ticket yesterday?" He said, "Oh, do you have the tickets on you right now?" I said, "No, they're at the house." He was like, "Well, bring them and I'll get them taken care of for you." But that's, you guys are just doing stuff out of disrespect and trying to be, you know what I mean? It's harassment at the end of the day. So I don't pay that no type of attention, because at the end of the day, like, they're bored, they got nothing else to do. Then, so I told my mom about it and everything, and she just,
Much love to your mother. I can only imagine. Um, yeah, that like you said, they're bored, nothing better to do. Um, and of course they want to take care of it now because they know they messed up. Um, I think that so much work needs to be done, and I think having the dialogue is the first step. I think me and you having this dialogue on a public level for everybody to join in and see that, hey, we're human like everybody else. Stefan was human like everybody else. Daunte was human like everybody else. Stefan and Daunte should be alive today. There's no reason we should be out here defending their innocence when the cops who murdered them should be proven theirs in the court of law. Who should be sitting there rotting right now for what they put our families through. What they put
yeah,
our
for sure.
families through. Our families will never be the same again because of what these officers did, and it's messed up on all levels. So we're gonna continue this conversation next Tuesday. I want to thank
Okay.
you again for joining me. I love you past death. You are my brother in the movement. I will stand in solidarity forever till I die. Like I said, I met the first day I met you. I told you we tapped in for life, and
For sure.
I meant that, and I'm loyal. So, I'm gonna see you in DC. We're gonna connect, and we're gonna keep doing this on every Tuesday, so that way we could let people know that we are a movement, not a moment. A lot of these people just want to go out there and protest when it's hot, when it's popping, when it's fresh, when the cameras are around, and they leave and they go away because they have not been personally affected. They don't know what
Yeah.
it's. They couldn't walk a day in these shoes. They don't know what it's like to have the media around and gone tomorrow. They don't know having all the different attorneys, having all the different fake love, the fake condolences, all the community leaders here today and gone tomorrow. People don't understand what this fight is like because they see it from a distance, and they rather have their opinions, which are like assholes because everybody have them, instead of coming up with actual solutions to the problem. Instead of look, I always tell people, if you're not giving me no prayers, you're not giving me no financial help, no emotional help, then you need to stay back, because right now I'm fighting right now and I'm grieving
Yeah.
as well. And I don't have time to stop and grieve because I'm fighting. And if I stop and grieve, then it takes from my fight. So I have to do both at the same time. And you right now, brother, you have to do both at the same time. Of course, you're grieving right now, but you still have to fight. And for us, it's harder because we are our brother's keepers. We are our brother's keepers, and it's harder for us because it's same because we have to watch our mothers cry. We have to watch how the media portrays our family. We have to watch Kim Potter get away like it's nothing. When if it was the community violence, this would be handled in a completely different way. Okay, let's be honest about it. If this was a community violence, this was been dealt with a community different type of outcome. But since it's from the people who are sworn to protect and serve us, and a lot of people, activists are activists, They're not really for the movement. They're for the moment. They're here for the cameras. They're here for the crowd. They're here for the spotlight. But when it comes to fighting and creating a uniform and coming together with actionable items, they ass ain't nowhere to be found. That's a whole nother conversation.
Family,
Hey, come on now. Hey, come on now. And it's some of his family too. Can't
family.
leave the family out too. It be some family that be more Judases than anybody. It be a
Yes.
lot of and it be a lot of friends that come together, that friends that you never met who be more family to you than your own family has been.
Yes.
And I always want to tell people right now watching, because I know a lot of you people, we've been talking for 30 minutes. I know my time is up. I'm going to wrap it up, people. Give me some time. But I know people are, they see me, and sometimes I catch the spirit and I get a little wild sometimes. But I'm only wild because I've been fighting, and feel like sometimes we're fighting alone. It feels like sometimes that people are just so used to talking about the problem and not the solution that they've become a part of the problem. Now,
You're
once
right.
you because look, we can only protest for so long. What do you do after you protest? Is what I like to ask these people. You are failing the family of Daunte Wright if you're just protesting with no actionable items. The last thing we need is people just showing up just to be showing up. Solidarity. So we got to
Right.
get out of here. I love you, brother. Any last words? Thank you for
Love
joining.
you.
I appreciate you. Any last words you want to say?
No, sir. I mean, we touched a decent amount of time today. We can save it for next Tuesday. I'll have a lot more information and a lot more love and a lot more time to fight.
Yes, sir. So next Tuesday we'll be at the same time. I love you, brother. Tell the mama,
Love.
tell the family I love them, and I'll see you in DC, and I'll see you next Tuesday as well, brother.
All right.
All right, now take it easy.
Yep.
All right. Now, the SAC 6 program, what we have here, we have a GoFundMe here we want you guys to donate to. Please donate to that GoFundMe. That was Dominic Bryant, the brother of Daunte Wright, and he's a part of this movement. And I want to let you guys know that we do have actionable items. Number one of our actionable item is bridge the gap between law enforcement and at-risk communities. We cannot bridge the gap between law enforcement and communities until we as the people bridge the gap between community and community. Number two is to inform and educate on policy and legislative change. Policy and legislative change. That is legacy on paper. Inform means to give facts. Educate means to give moral, social, or intellectual instruction. So we want to inform and educate on legacy on paper. Number three is to provide resources and healing spaces for those in need in our community. We believe give a man a fish, eat for a day, teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Or as we say in the movement, give a man a fish, eat for a day, teach him how to use the internet, you'll never hear from here again. Number four is commemorate the life and legacy of Stephon Clark so that his name may live in a positive light for generations and generations long, long, long after you and I have left this earth. That's why we do the libraries, the party buses, the gardens, the farmers markets, so on and so forth. Number five is we don't have all the answers, so we need your help. Receive recommendations from you, the people, on how to prevent Stephon Clark's from ever, ever, ever happening again. And number six, spread the gospel of love. John 15:12 said, love each other as I've loved you. If you skip down to John 15:18, it says, if the world hates you for it, know they hated me long before they ever hated you. So the golden gospel, this golden rule, everybody love everybody. Number six, everybody love everybody. That's our story. We're sticking to it. Thank you all for joining us. Go that GoFundMe, donate. Thank you for joining the members of the movement. Contact us at IamSacFoundation.com. Go to IamSacFoundation at Gmail. Tell us your story, or make sure you go to IamSacEvents.org and become a member of the movement and at the moment. Thank you. We love you. Bye. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all. We are